We're going to go right now, right away to our snapshots, and we have folks from different parts of Texas who are going to get some snapshots of what's happening in community media in different parts of the state. So I'm not going to introduce each one. I'm going to introduce them all now, and then we'll have each person come up and do their thing, and then come back. Some folks have some PowerPoints they're going to use, and so on. So we're going to start with Giovanni Gallucci from the agency blog, who's going to talk about North Texas. We're going to move to South Texas and San Antonio with Chuck Robinson from the Texas Media Empowerment Project. Then we're going to move to Mary Lampe, who's the Executive Director of the Southwest Alternate Media Project in Houston. And finally, in Central Texas and Austin, with Julia Austin, the Associate Publisher of the Texas Observer. So, Giovanni.
Howdy. I'm going to cover North Texas, primarily, obviously, Dallas-Fort Worth. It's funny because when I first got involved with this, I thought it wouldn't be a big deal to go out and find listings and information about community media in North Texas, and it was a lot more difficult than I expected it to be. Some of the stuff that I've got in my deck that I'll cover really quick include public access, not straight community, but government-related stuff, and public radio and local media. Overall, what I found, if we're going to kind of grade this thing on an A to B scale, I'd give North Texas, Dallas-Fort Worth a C+, and only because we have Dallas on Media involved, and because we have Mesquite Independent School District, we have K9, K11. Outside of that, it's pretty few and far between when you're looking at art, theater, film. There's independent places for film that you can go and see indie films, but not a whole lot in our community within our area of the state for true community media. And I'll cover the internet at the very end to kind of talk about how internet kind of saves the day for us, and some websites that kind of save the day for people that don't have full organizations that back community media, so they're doing it on their own. You can go through the first slide. So from the art perspective, we've got plenty of places within Dallas-Fort Worth to go and see plenty of art. If we go to the next slide, Dallas-Fort Worth Community Art System, Associated Creative Arts, which is essentially a for-profit organization. They do a lot of stuff for the community. Next slide. The Craft Guild and the Dallas Art Spirit. Again, these are organizations that have created places and kind of safe havens for folks to go in and show their stuff. But the access to these areas and access to be able to show your stuff as an independent artist is fairly difficult. So we could do quite a bit more within the North Texas area as far as artists are concerned to make the marketplace more available to the independent artists. Within film, we have amazing places in Dallas and Fort Worth to see independent films. But when it comes to community access, if I'm an independent filmmaker within the Dallas-Fort Worth area or within Wichita Falls or North Texas, very little access whatsoever. So we're blessed from the standpoint that we've got the Angelica, you've got a few different Angelicas up there. We've got the Inwood, which has always been fantastic for independent film, and the Magnolia is fantastic. But you typically see independent films coming from around the world, around the nation. They will do local stuff. And we do have USSA Film Festival there, but from the day to day, there's not a whole lot of access for us for the independent filmmaker locally. Print, we have tons. We have bucket loads of local media, and it's pretty easy to get access to a local Plano, local Rockwall, Irving type of newspaper, community newspaper. So we're doing okay there, but these are still for-profit entities, and within the scope of being a for-profit and being part of a corporation, they still have limited access as far as the content. You can't get out there and really voice your opinion as an independent writer. So there's plenty of easy access if you have a story to tell. But we don't have the community access in print like I'd like to see us have in Dallas-Fort Worth. We've got a couple of slides here. The Advocate, Allen American Colony, you can go to the next slide. Then the Record Chronicle, next slide. So there's plenty of localness just because we've got a huge area to cover, but I was really happy with the amount of local news that you can get, so that you're not constrained up in Dallas by the behemoth, the Velo Corporation of Dallas Morning News if you don't want to be. Next slide. Radio, I think we do really well. My wife and I, in fact, my girls love community radio, and a lot of it's because we've been able to introduce my 8 and my 5-year-old to disco, and they love it. UNT does a great job. I swear to God, you see it. They get them. KNON is fantastic. And KRA, it's public radio, but they still do a really good job of giving, especially with Dallas being such a conservative area. And I'm part of the problem with that. But you still get a very nice progressive viewpoint, and you hear stuff even on public radio that you don't get within the other media in Dallas and Fort Worth. Next slide. Television, we have the Dallas Media Network, and they're well represented here. Some of the other things that we have up, KRA, KDTN are also public television. They're not community television. Fort Worth Community Cable Television is the closest thing that we have on a large scale to true community television outside of the Dallas Media Network. And then Urban Community Television Network, we have a lot of city-based, like Plano here is one in Rockwell. I have a lot of nice city-based public information type of television access. That's my blank slide when I was doing that on the highway down here, so we know. Theater, there's plenty of theater. There's way too much stuff to list. If you're a playwright and you want to get something up on stage within Dallas Fort Worth, no problem whatsoever. You can go up on Google and just find tons and tons of theater access. So we can go to the next one. Creative Arts School, Pocket Sandwich Theater is fantastic. Denton Community Theater, Duncanville, pretty much any small town in North Texas is going to have access for us there. Next slide. And so we get into internet. Part of the disappointment with community media, for me, came because I went to college here for a couple of years. I pretty much lived for a few years in every major city in Texas. I started down the route, and I kind of moved north, and there's nowhere else to go now. But being here in Austin for a few years, you run around in Austin anywhere, and community media is in your face no matter where you go. Community media here does an amazing job of getting the word out, evangelizing the cause, making sure that people know that community's there, community media is there, and that it's available not only for for creators but for viewers. And one thing that I see in Dallas is that the Dallas Media Network and the radio station and the other TV stations, I think, could do a much better job of getting out there and getting the word out. And it's probably resources and financial that's the issue there. But so you enter the internet, and what I find with the internet is that we have amazing shows up on that are carried in Dallas through the internet. Geek Brief TV is a show that was started less than 2 years ago by a husband and wife. They were waiter and waitress. They do consumer electronics, 3 to 5 minute shows 4 days a week, and they have quit their day jobs now, and they now carry over 500,000 viewers per show on the internet. Hope Show TV is an inspirational, spiritual-based network that's come online in the last 6 months, and they go out and they tell stories that can be secular, can be spiritually based. They don't care what religion someone's spiritual foundation is in, but they tell stories about local people in Dallas that have had amazing difficulties in life, that have overcome those difficulties, and they show people how you can be hopeful and you keep on plugging along. They've got 3 shows in production right now. They will continue. They typically do episodic content, so they will have like 10 to 20 shows per episode, and then they move on to the next show. MN1 is it's a financial news internet show. It came out of an audio podcast called Exit 50, and they actually have full studios now. And they have like 2 roving SUVs with their branding all over, and they run around getting local financial news for the Dallas-Fort Worth market. And then podcastpickle.com is one of the largest podcast directories in the world, one of the first ones out there. And they're based out of Arlington. And they have, while they obviously have local content there, they have worldwide content. So when you think of, iTunes, or you think of, the different large podcast directories, Podcast Pickle is based right out of here. And it's worldwide in scope, and they get well over 1 million hits a day for people downloading local content, for their own specific localities. And then obviously the full-blown internet for anybody. Doesn't have to be local. You can just get up on YouTube, Google Video, places like that. But one thing that's happened in Dallas is because we don't have the maturity in the community media market like we have in Houston and Austin specifically. People have gone to creating their own groups. And so if you go to meetup.org or meetup.com, upcoming.org, you look at the social media club in Dallas, which was started over in the Bay Area. Podcasters of Dallas. You have people that essentially want this within the community. Dallas is well known for not being strong in community, so people go and create their own groups and they run their own groups. So we don't have necessarily a drought in community media. It's just that it's not as easily accessible or as easy to find. The two best places to look if you're looking for stuff up in the North Texas area would be go to meetup.com or upcoming.org. And that's way more than 5 minutes, but it's a lot of stuff.